Hi, my name is Mark Monlux, and you are watching Epic Sketch Time. Whoop, hang on. Did I start this recording?
I believe
Oh.
you did, since the red button is flashing.
Anyway, I'm a freelance illustrator in Tacoma, Washington. We hold Epic Sketch Time every Tuesday at 4:30. Gentlemen, why don't you introduce yourself in order of appearance?
Hi, I'm Bill Morse. I'm a freelance illustrator and cartoonist working out of Seattle, Washington, and I also do a webcomic called Rhapsodies, which is daily and is down on the doobly-doo.
Hey everybody, my name is Castruita. You can check out my stuff at unfedartist.com. I'm an illustrator, cartoonist, and graphic designer working out of Arizona.
And again, my name is Mark Monlux. If you go to my Instagram account using my name here in the corner, wherever it's showing up, that's how you can find me on almost any social media platforms. Gentlemen, I'd like to start with some show and tell today.
Cool.
When I first entered the industry back in the 80s, I looked for a professional group. And before I joined the Graphic Artists Guild, I was a member of a local group in Seattle called the Society of Professional Graphic Artists, otherwise known as the SPGA. And my mentor, this group was totally set up to help freelancers and to teach them, you know, ethics, contracts, how do you do invoicing, how to get a business license, all the minutia that they don't teach you in school. And they also were constantly talking about prices, and that's why it was only for freelancers. If you weren't a freelancer, you couldn't attend. And they were also very specific. You could only attend twice for free as a guest of somebody else there. And after that, you had to join, or you weren't welcome. And there was a man there named Bill Werbeck, and he was one of the founders of the group, and he started it right after World War II. A part of the reason they started the group was because there were people working at Boeing who in their free time would do contract work, and they were severely undercutting the graphic artists in the marketplace because they had day jobs. So a bunch of the graphic design studios people, they would meet every Tuesday at lunchtime. And they said, you know what, if we had a letterhead, we could probably write a really nasty letter to Boeing and get them to stop this practice. So they did, and they formed a group that eventually became the SPGA. And Bill gave me so much great advice over the years. He really helped me. And I eventually took over his role as the ethics board. He's still alive. He's 95 years old, and he still paints. And we've been keeping in touch. And a while ago, I sent him one of my books. And he sent me this, which is a compilation of his, it's sort of like a combination autobiography and life's work of him growing up and learning stuff, him being in the Navy, him as a graphic artist, then him in retirement. And it goes into all the projects and companies and paintings and designs he did over the course of the years. He only made 100 of these, and this is number 45. So I'm really, it's really an honor to get it. I've been slowly reading myself through it. I'm only up to about 1950 so far. So
Wow.
yeah, that's so that's my show and tell. I've always wanted to have one of his paintings, but it's gotten to the point where I just can't afford them. And the odd thing is, from reading this, he used to do paintings for his friends as Christmas gifts and the like. So somewhere out there, probably in a garage sale, is a William Werbeck painting that's worth thousands of dollars, and people just don't know it. It's one of those, you know, rare gem artists situations. Do you guys have any show and tell today?
Ooh.
Or what are the projects that you're working on?
I'm pretty much trying to, I'm just pretty much playing catch up on strip art, mainly because I was focusing on writing for most of the last 2 days. And because I have a guild meeting on Thursday, I can't really sacrifice any more more time with not drawing.
I don't have anything super spiffy to do show and tell with. I wish I did. That's a really cool book. I am currently working. Currently I'm looking around for anything I might be able to. Oh, this I'll show this. No, I don't have anything. I'm currently working on a comic for a client. It's a I don't know if I could say the client's name or anything, but I guess when I release the comic, or I guess when the client releases the comic, I will give a preview out to my Patreon backers, and you guys can see what I'm doing. But I think I can say that it is meant to be informational. It's for the COVID-19 pandemic, and I am doing 2 of these comics. So for those of you that are familiar with my style, let me share my screen. I'm trying to go a little bit more realistic than I typically do. So these characters actually have eyelids. But
that's a big step up
yeah.
in cartooning, let me tell you, having eyelids.
But yeah, it's nice to do a little bit more realistic style, and these are planning to be full color. So unfortunately the deadline is next Monday, so I have these 2 to just kind of crank out, and I won't be able to do much more than today's epic sketch time as far as like showing some of the development stuff, but that's what I'm working on.
I have a friend of mine named Alan Gladfelter, and he put aside, he's been working on a graphic novel for about the last 4 or 5 years, and he's just constant, boom, 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 boom. He's he was so close to being done, but what, he actually picked up the real project, and I believe it has something to do with local prisons and the various riots that happened at the various, pick the topic that you think would have absolutely no future as a graphic novel, and he picked up a client that wanted him to cover this.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I haven't heard from I follow his feed, but for the most part, I hadn't heard much from Alan for ages.
Now, his other project, I can't go into his other project other than it's extremely it is family friendly. It's a unique story arc that I've never seen before, and I think that it will have legs once it's done. But
so he's told you what it is, or he showed you?
Yeah, but I can't remember whether or not he told me to keep the prison thing secret or the other thing secret.
Oh, that's not good.
I figured, his clientele probably aren't, regular watchers of Epic Sketch Time. So,
guess that's a risk you need to take.
So let's see what I'm going to work on today. This will look slightly familiar to you when I pull it up.
Oh, is this the one from the Earth's core?
No, I'm done with the Earth's core one. Let's see.
Oh, that's a relief. I wouldn't want to think you're getting too predictable.
Let's see, where is it? So I probably won't spend a lot of time cleaning this up since it really doesn't need to be cleaned up. Let's see, where's the share screen? Okay, so here's an obscure movie monster. You know, in my previous obscure movie monsters, I had to really scrape the bottom of the barrel, but I had to go even deeper for round two. This is from a movie called Monstered. It's basically a big pile of poo.
Oh dear.
So
Oh,
I'm guessing neither of you have watched Monstered.
No, I'm not sure if I've even seen a picture of the poster. And as far as really scraping the barrel, remind me, you've already done the monster that wasn't nice, right?
Yeah, the monster that wasn't nice is in part of the deck of the obscure movie Aliens. Now, I've colored all those. That part of the project, I need to set up the Photoshop file because I'm planning on having consistent backgrounds for the 4 different suits. So once I've set up, I sort of have master files for each of the suits from when I did them before, but I have to restructure them differently because back then I would draw on my first deck, I drew an irregular rectangle around the image and then added in the name of the movie at the top and the bottom on the artwork and then placed the artwork. Well, I don't want to do it like that. I want to have a nice clean frame this time and put the lettering inside Photoshop. But that requires actual thought and concentration, whereas, cleaning off little tiny black specks off of this is going to be a no-brainer thing for me to do while I'm talking to you guys today. So, and I was realizing I still need more obscure movie monsters for my my third deck.
Well,
So if you guys can think of any that you think will pass the muster, considering that the bar is pretty low here with Monstered. So
and regrettably, when it comes to this kind of schlock, you know far more than I do. I mean, I think werewolves are a dime a dozen, but do you remember the one from The Boy Who Cried Werewolf? Apparently, it looks like some sort of terrier.
the boy, well, actually, I am doing a werewolf already, and I don't want to include more than one type of a particular type of monster.
Okay.
There's a really bad werewolf movie that you can watch on YouTube called Meta Beast.
Ooh.
And it's about this kind of mechanicalized cyborg werewolf thing that was done in, I think, early 90s, late 80s. It's far better than Monstered, I could tell you that. but not nowhere nearly as good as say Silver Bullet, which was a nice mainstream. There's so many good zombie movies.
I've mostly heard good things about Silver Bullet, but I always get it mixed up with the one in Cat's Eye. I think mainly because they're both Stephen King films with werewolves.
There are no werewolves in Cat's Eye.
Really? Wasn't there one with the werewolf invading the house and the cat's point of view? Or was that Silver Bullet?
As far as I know, I can tell you definitely that there are no werewolves inside Silver Bullet.
Huh.
So, oh, pardon me, no.
I was going to say.
I'm a Cat's Eye. There are no werewolves in Cat's Eye. Have you seen either one of those films, Bill?
I saw a clip of Cat's Eye, which is why I was asking the question. As far as Silver Bullet, I read the novella it's based on, because it's one of the 4 stories in 4 seasons, but otherwise, no.
Is Cat's Eye the one with the little goblin that steals kids' breath?
Yes.
Oh, that might be the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, matter of fact, the goblin is one of the monsters I featured in my first deck.
Yeah, that I can't remember why, but I think that was one of those movies that I watched again and again and again, because it was just like, I don't know, I became obsessed with it. But yeah, I remember the whole like stop smoking thing, and the little breath stealing demon thing, and I can't remember anything else. It was such a long time ago.
Oh, there was the ledge.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, was the cat like seeing like some kind of angel or something that was like telling it to like go save the child or something?
Well, actually, the child was appearing to the cat in vision, saying, "Come save me."
Yeah.
And but yeah, the cat that makes a short appearance in every one of the episodes, with the last one being the one with the little troll.
Yeah, I have this clear memory of the police, every breath you take, and that anti-smoking thing going on. And it's just like, I can't remember if it was a montage or anything, but whenever I hear that song, I think about that. And it's just like, I mean, the song is already creepy to begin with, but yeah, it's pretty locked into my memory because of that movie.
But yeah, Bill, I would recommend Silver Bullet. It's a fairly decent werewolf movie.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I'm wondering if I've created a list on Letterboxd of all the werewolf movies I've seen.
Oh, if you did it very recently, because I don't remember it.
I might not have. There are a lot of other people who have created werewolf movie lists, and anymore, if I see a list, I started making this one list, and then I realized, oh wow, there's so many other people who have spent a lot of time putting together really good lists on this that I don't need to spend 3 hours of productive time making a list that someone else has already made.
Yeah, I was sort of making an effort to start making lists again. The one that I'm working on right now is movies where the city is a main character. As opposed to movies that are merely background sets.
Can you give us an example, Bill?
Okay, Woody Allen's Manhattan, Vienna in Third Man, Hong Kong in Ghost in the Shell.
What's the Jack Nicholson like film noir, like detective film?
Chinatown.
Chinatown. Yeah.
That might count.
I think I actually remember a film studies class where that was explicitly said, that the city is a character.
I can add that one. Thank you.
Well, there's also
that being said, I took film studies back in like 1999, so please review the movie and make sure
No, I saw Chinatown very recently, and I know that your professor was right.
Okay.
Well, let's see. There's so many that are just LA centric. So let's try to list those off. I mean, we have
LA Story.
Well, LA Story. We also have LA Confidential.
Hmm.
To Live and Die in LA.
Well, L.A. Story. Oh no, just the highway sign was actually the character. Like, or did the highway sign was the city? I can't remember what that was supposed to be. I just remember it talked as a bagpipe because that was like its past life or something.
This is the one with Steve Martin. This is a Steve Martin movie, right?
Oh yeah.
Story.
Yeah. So the highway sign is just a billboard, I think, an electronic billboard.
It's not.
Well, no, it is a highway sign. It's a sign that says,
But the highway sign could like control the weather and all that stuff, right? I mean, I don't know. We're getting pretty deep into the the rat hole.
I was being very picky. So, for example, and trying to go with films that even if the name of the city is on the title of the movie, ask yourself: how important is that city, and could it have been another city and affect the story?
Not for LA Confidential. It definitely had to be LA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, is Casablanca? Is that?
I have Casablanca on the list.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
But if anybody wants to disagree, I just put the link to it if anybody wants to criticize properly.
Or add comments and suggestions.
Definitely.
Isn't there a movie called Nome, Alaska?
Possibly. I don't know.
Either that or a TV series. I can't remember.
If I remember, Nome, Alaska is about it's a movie starring Burt Reynolds. Sorry, that's just a random call to my cell phone. My policy on cell phones is if I don't recognize the number, I just let go to voicemail, and if they leave a message, I'll get back to them. Otherwise, I'll just assume that they're. So it's about a town up in Nome, Alaska, that puts on a hockey game, and they're used to just playing on rough ice on the lake, but apparently there's some sort of bet made where they would fight up against a professional team, so they get a Zamboni to come in and clean up the lake. Or God, I'm hoping this is Nome, Alaska. I'm going to have to check my Internet Movie Database and look for Burt Reynolds movies now. But you got me thinking, Bill, of...
Yeah, I just was thinking of...
I'm trying to think if The Thief of Baghdad, because...
I'm not sure, beyond all of the fantasy elements, how much of it actually takes place in Baghdad.
Yeah, that's true. So this kind of rules out, would Road to Morocco count?
Road to Morocco definitely would not count, beyond the whole Orientalism and whatnot, not to mention the fact that I don't believe they actually mention what city it's in.
What's the director who I think he directed Training Day, but there's a Tom Cruise film where Tom Cruise plays this assassin and Jamie Foxx is like a cab driver.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
I mean, Los Angeles really, in both those films, just kind of stands out as a character, I would say. I can't remember that Tom Cruise film though. He was pretty intense in that. It was just like, whoa, this is Tom Cruise. That definitely went dark.
I've only seen part of that movie, so
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, man.
I need to put that one on my list.
I can't remember the name though. I don't think he directed Heat, but I'm thinking Heat along the same kind of director. I guess I'm doing IMDb.
Yeah.
Sorry, comic. Yeah.
Sorry for bringing it up.
Let's see.
And the other, I was just thinking.
Antoine Fuqua? Fuqua? I don't think I'm saying that right.
Well, I'm just kind of curious about the name of the movie.
Oh. Oh, maybe I got it mixed up. Let me see.
Let's see. I was thinking Train Spotting might be, but the fact that I keep thinking that Train Spotting takes place in Glasgow when it actually takes place in Edinburgh implies that the
location's not so specific.
Right. But definitely, what's that? I'm blanking on the name of the movie. Full Frontal, the one about the
Full Monty.
Full Monty. I think that's definitely about Manchester, with Manchester very much being a character.
Okay, the movie's name Collateral, and it's directed by Michael Mann. He did not direct Training Day, but he did direct Heat. So,
and Training Day is another movie I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, Training Day is pretty intense. Again, it's just like one of these
yeah, but if
Hollywood A-list actors, Denzel Washington taking like a real dark role. It's not something you're used to seeing.
Oh yeah, I mean, considering Denzel Washington frequently gets a lot of the Cary Grant roles these days, so he must find them almost refreshing. And if you want intense, Heat is really intense.
Yeah, that's still one of my favorites. I don't know if I'd put it on my top 10 list, but
it's one of those ones where I'm not completely sure if I like it or not, but it's really, really, really well done.
Mine, I suggest Good Will Hunting.
Okay, that's best for boss up for Cambridge, right?
You know what? Hot Fuzz, I think, is a good candidate.
Though, if I want to be truly literal, that's a town.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come on, Bill.
The other idea for a sort of subcategory that I've been thinking about is cities as actors.
It has to be a city, so How Green Is My Valley is not going to count, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's unrelated, but there's a movie called Grand Canyon, and
I love Grand Canyon. That's a fantastic film.
But it doesn't actually take place on the Grand Canyon, right? Like it's
there's actually only towards the end of the movie do the actors, the various cast actually go to Grand Canyon.
Yeah, and I grew up in the Grand Canyon. That's where I spent my childhood because my pop was a park ranger, and I was like so excited to watch this movie called Grand Canyon, not knowing what it was about. And it had nothing to do with the Grand Canyon. And I just kept like, what's the Grand Canyon going to show up the whole time?
Oh, that's very cool. I've only been there once, and it's awesome.
Oh yeah, growing up in a national park, I mean, it's I don't know if I could recommend it, but it was definitely a unique childhood.
Let's see. I visited the Grand Canyon in 1976. So,
That's the last time?
let's see. I think it might be. I mean, I've been to Zion. You know, I've got all these other canyons parks that I wanted to check out. So the last time we went out that way, we went to Zion and what are some of the other?
Zion, Bryce, Mesa Verde.
Arches. Actually, I saw Mesa Verde in 1976. That's the one with the cliff dwellers, right?
Yes. I went there sometime in the mid 80s. My dad had a conference in Salt Lake City, and the cheapest way to go to the Southwest at the time was something called the Jackpot Express to Las Vegas. So we went about 2.5 weeks early and drove from Las Vegas to Salt Lake City, stopping at every single national park imaginable.
This sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, I want to hear more about your life growing up in the park, because it must be blistering hot there.
Oh yeah.
No, it's 7,000 feet altitude, so it's
Though I'm told inside the canyon proper is a freaking oven in the beginning of.
yeah, the
As I
Phantom
remember.
Ranch down at the bottom is the same altitude as Phoenix. So so the time to go if you're going to hike down is winter, because it's not the busy season, and you only have like a mile of snow to hike through before it just becomes beautiful weather. Like, I mean, people come to Phoenix during the winter, and you know that's basically the best time to go hiking down the canyon. But during the summer, it's like going to Flagstaff. So a lot of pine trees, ponderosa, and I mean the only downside of the summer in Grand Canyon is all the tourists. So I think after I moved out, they restricted cars, and so I don't know if you can actually drive into the Grand Canyon anymore. I think you have to like get a special permit or something, but they were trying to reduce like the amount of traffic and all that stuff. But yeah, as far as growing up there, I mean, it was something you always, well, excuse me, I always took for granted, right? Because I just didn't know. But I remember just hating that I couldn't get like cable television up there, and so it was like, well, The Simpsons was a big thing. Like I couldn't watch The Simpsons because all we had was the bunny ears on a television set. And so people were like talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation and The Simpsons, and I was like, I wasn't able to watch any of that. But yeah, I could step out of my back door and go into the woods, and you know, just ride my bike on trails and stuff. And if I wanted to, I could just ride to the canyon, and you know, hike if I wanted to. But I never really found the interest in doing it. Like most of the time, we were just kids, and we were like, you know, excited about Nintendo and stuff. And, you know, there's a school up there, K through 12. So, you know, there was only like 20 kids in my entire class. But again, it was just one of those things you take for granted. One of the things I can share now that you bring it up is I used to haunt the library over there. And let me see if I can find it. So I forgot the name of this guy. I'm gonna take off. I think I shared this with you guys before too, but I go to the library and I would check out these books from my school library all the time. The Ed Emberley drawing books.
Oh, yeah, that's gorgeous.
And I would just go through and devour. It's like real quick, simple like shapes and just like how to connect them to, you know, make whatever. But I forgot the name of this guy. And I went through like high school and college, like, what was the name of that book? I actually like emailed the librarian at the school up there. I was like, I'm desperate to find out. And then one day, one of my friends on Twitter just posted that he bought a new book. And I was like, oh my God, it's the book. So I was like on eBay and everything. But yeah, it's like one of my early drawing educations was.
I always love rediscovering a lot of the children's books and whatnot. For example, I remember kind of being unimpressed by 60s and 70s, 50s and 60s comics from DC and Marvel, thinking in comparison to some of the artists I grew up with, found them rather stale. And now I'm looking at them now, and I mean, George Swan was a genius. And
yeah, if you look at the old stuff, I mean, again, like for me back then when I was in Grand Canyon, Spawn was coming out, and so was Todd McFarlane was like, you know, the big deal for comics, especially after he did his Spider-Man series. I can't remember what it was called.
That was the Amazing Spider-Man, but
yeah, but I mean, Todd McFarlane created Spawn, or excuse me, not Spawn, Venom, and
he did, yeah.
And then he left Marvel and started Image with Jim Lee, and so those were the artists that I was like super into, and yeah, I would look at the you know, the old Golden Age, Silver Age stuff, and I'd be like, this isn't as cool as this new stuff. This new stuff is blowing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like now I look at it with a huge appreciation for like how good these guys were. It's just like, man, I can't imagine being that solid an artist. I can't remember the guy's name, but there was like some guy around the same time, 90s, who he was a huge comic artist, but he was just not good. his anatomy was awful. And like he couldn't draw feet. I can't remember the guy's name. Yeah. But I mean, I was a stupid kid, and I was like, "Oh, this stuff is amazing!" You know, you get really into it, and you read like the X-Men comics that he'd do, and you know, find out about Cable and stuff. And it was exciting stories and really cool stuff. But you look at it now, it's like, wow, I don't think people have that many abs.
The absolute worst example is his Captain America run in one of Marvel's more ill-advised ventures called Rebirth. He gave Captain America this absolutely freakish barrel chest.
Oh yeah.
And then there's, I mean, you can find blog lists of the worst Liefeld pictures.
Oh yeah. Now that you tell me the name, I think I've actually gone to those sites. But yeah,
there's one picture where I'm half convinced that somebody was parodying him, where the woman's spine is practically a slinky.
I mean, it's funny. Like you can look at classical paintings and you could see like, you know, models who are just like not drawn correctly. And, you know, for whatever it's worth, I mean, they're part of art history and everything. But I look at those comics now, like Liefeld, and I'm just like, man, why couldn't I get in back when you just had to be half decent? Like you didn't have to
tell me about it. I was always bothering artists at conventions to look at my work, and I was always getting the "you don't stand a chance" kid, and then you see people like Liefeld.
Yeah, it's so aggravating. Like I guess it's you know, it is what it is. I don't know if I would have been happy as a superhero artist or something, but that was definitely what I wanted to do. I wanted to draw, you know, Spidey and X-Men comics and stuff, but
now,
yeah, it wasn't meant to be.
Bill, was it Peter Bagg who did the Hulk, or did he do Spider-Man? I know that
Peter Bagg, who does Hate, and did a Spider-Man issue. I think it was mostly done as a parody.
Right, and then he offered to also do the Hulk, but I think at that point Marvel decided to give him a pass. But his style was just completely off the rails. And wasn't there a guy, I think his name was Wolvington?
Basil Wolfington, yeah.
Basil Wolvington. Oh my God, that guy would do the most outlandish looking art for comics, mainly for the science fiction and fantasy stuff. But
he's best known for a title called Nighthawk, and also, if you've seen any of his art, it's for the prize that he won for drawing a picture of this character from Lil Abner, who was the ugliest woman in Lower Slabevia, named Lena the Hyena.
yeah, he would draw just the most freaky, wrinkly faces in this really unique style that no one else could emulate without looking like him. Oh. His career was a really interesting thing to read up upon. I think he became born again at one point and tried to switch over to doing religious comics, but his art style it wasn't exactly the type of thing that would suit the appetites of holy rollers, you know.
Now that's a shame, because if Robert Crumb can do religious art, then anybody should be able to. Though a lot of I'm aware that several God-bothering types are not fond of Crumb's take on Genesis, even though he did exactly what they always want you to do, as in take it all literally.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the work.
You haven't seen R. Crumb's? No, R. Crumb took the first book of the Bible, Genesis, and he made it into a graphic novel.
Okay.
I have it around here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. I actually had 2 copies, and then I gave away a copy, and then I think I might have given away the second copy. But the work in it is just phenomenal.
Because the beauty of it is he, instead of parodying it, he treated it like a illustration job and did every last detail, every word, every last detail in it.
Huh. Yeah, there's a hard cover available on Amazon for $18.82.
That sounds about right. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I definitely know R. Crumb. I just never knew about this.
For only $18? Because mine cost a lot more than that. Mine was like a $40 or $60 book.
Well, I mean, there's collectibles. Who knows? You probably have like a first edition or something.
Could be. And I'm not seeing it on my shelves. I also know I have a Wolvington book too, but I think I gave that away.
I'm trying to remember if I own a copy.
I have you guys on a scavenger hunt now.
Well, at least let's see, what do we have?
So what's your most valuable book, either in money or in sentimental value?
Well,
let's make it Epic Sketch Time relevant and make it like art related.
So, this volume that Bill Werbeck gave me, the limited edition. I mean, that's really top of the list. Now
that is an amazing gift. He gave that to you?
Yeah, he gave that to me. Yeah.
I mean, I doubt that's something you'd ever even like think about selling. It would be like, it stays in the family forever.
I've got several first editions autobiographies that are signed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I got it's a little thing I did for a number of years where I would take a person's book, their autobiography, and mail it off to them with a self-addressed stamped envelope, have them sign it and mail it back. So I've got Lonnie Anderson, Burt Reynolds, Jackie Chan. My wife got me a leather-bound a special edition of who's the guy who climbed Mount Everest?
Hillary.
Yeah, of Edmund Hillary's. Also, a signed copy of Chuck Yeager's autobiography. Some of those are more valuable than others. The Jackie Chan one's pretty valuable signed. The Chuck Yeager one is fairly valuable. Well, I'm going to actually have to look at my shelves here because I want to see if I can find one of these books.
He doesn't. And we lost Mark. So what about you, Bill? What's your most prized literary or art book?
That's a tough one.
It could be value or sentimental. It doesn't have to be like money or something.
I have all of Scott McCloud's Making Comics series signed.
Oh wow!
Are
you excited about the new book he's working on?
Ooh, hadn't heard about that. Is it another book or is it a graphic novel?
It's a nonfiction book. It's a book about nonfiction comics.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and I actually I was lucky enough to get a few minutes of his time to talk about it because it's so related to my business. But I just wanted to ask him about it, and yeah, he's working on it, and it's hopefully coming out if not this year or next. But I'm really excited to check it out because like Scott McCloud's books have been kind of life-changing as far as my career as an artist and thinking about comics. Like before, it was just like.
And you're right. Nonfiction comics that's a very underappreciated medium of genre in this case. And there's been some real nice ones coming out lately. I mean, did you see the one that sticks in my memory for some reason is the biography of Andre the Giant?
No, I have no idea about that one.
So I'm not finding R. Crumb's or the Wolvington books. So I'm kind of distressed I can't locate those. But I do have some books that I picked up via Kickstarter campaigns. For the most part, the only books I collect are signed editions or graphic novels of my fellow friends' works. I try to just limit myself to that. So almost everything I have on my shelves are signed books. This one, in the 20s and 30s, when pulps were the king, there was this artist named Virgil Finlay. And he would do these pen and ink drawings that were perfect for the pulp paper, because pulp paper, it would saturate and drop the ink. And he had this crosshatch and stippling technique. This is a limited edition book put together by his two largest collectors and his daughter. There's only 80 of these books, and this is number 56. And it's signed by, let's see, three collectors and his daughter. And I'll try to hold this up, but so this guy's control of line for pen and ink was just beyond. I mean, these are so fine, they're hard.
Yeah, they almost look like watercolor.
He would control the line by pushing down on it, and then it would come back up. And so all these lines on this particular image with the angel, they're all going in the same direction to emulate the light, and all those thicks and thins are contained within one stroke.
Wow.
Jeez.
His control, he would also do drawings on scratchboard,
So he was just inking with like a crow quill pen?
Yep.
Wow.
And are these the original size of them?
Most of them were done for magazines. And they would fill up either half-page quarter pages. Some of them would be little snippets. His control on the stroke and the cross-hatching, some of the detail on these,
Holy cow.
it's just phenomenal. And he was basically considered the master of crosshatch.
That's pretty awesome.
And most of these you can only find if you go into pulps. You can almost spot a Virgil Finlay immediately because of how well it reads.
Mm-hmm.
He also did some color covers. There's some featured in the back of this book. So here's some of his work featured for covers.
Oh, wow.
With lots of dead space. And
amazing. Those look almost unique in there.
And I actually have some of these actual pulps in my collection. But when I saw this book go up on Kickstarter, I absolutely had to have it. And so I would say it's one of my more treasured possessions, since most of my early career was doing cross-hatching and tight pen work.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that Kickstarter is, making it possible for these creators to just. I mean, they know they have people who want to buy their stuff, but they might not find a publisher, and so they're like, well, I'll just reach out to the people directly. It's pretty awesome.
Now, this is another book I picked up by a Kickstarter, and it features the work of Walter Baumhofer. And he did a lot of the Doc Savage covers.
Oh, cool.
And here's some sample of some Old West covers he did.
Oh, I think I recognize that one to the left.
And but he was all about doing men adventure type covers, and
oh, that's awesome.
I'll see if I can find the typical dime store. Now, if you look at these covers, you see the high amount of red and yellow and blues that are used.
Because they're compensating. I remember that with NCY, looking at original NCYs.
Well, the reason for those high saturations and why those covers still look good today is this is before 1950, when CMYK standards had not been turned into effect. These are not CMYK prints. Instead, they were done using mixtures of yellow, blue, and red. And so the artists, if they could work those colors into their paintings more, because any type of mixtures of the, if you were doing a green, it would have to be a mixture of the blue and the red on the printing process, which is why even today, if I'll go. Oh, if we're already at 5:30, we'll have to wait till next week. But I'll show you some old pulp covers and show you how even all these many decades later, they are brighter than a CMYK cover. Anyway, this has been Epic Sketch Time. Please join us next Tuesday at 4:30 for yet another episode, and I'll see how quickly I can post this one online for y'all.
All right. Take care, guys. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Good one.